If you're a gardener, you know the power of plants to make us feel great when we're working with them and taste great when we're eating them. But many plants can also have powerful inherent properties that can be harnessed for our needs. Think about things like coffee, and what about quinine, and even aspirin that was originally derived from willow tree bark. I'm at Southern Cross University in Lismore, New South Wales, and spread out across the campus is an extraordinary collection of plants for study and research. It's a plant nerd's paradise, and the perfect place for researchers to explore the powerful properties of plants. This here is the herbarium. Think of it as like a big plant library. There must be thousands of specimens in here. I can't wait to have a look around, but I think I better ask first. Peter Mowat is a pharmacognosist. That's a scientist who studies the chemistry of natural compounds. Peter, I knew I'd find you deep in the herbarium, but tell me a little bit about this title of yours, pharmacognosist.
Pharmacognosy is the science of understanding plants and plant drugs. And so here we have a collection in the herbarium of plants that have been used historically for foods and herbs and medicines. So we look at their chemistry and their relationships, and we find some pretty surprising, interesting things. So we can go and have a look at some of those if you're interested.
Oh, yeah, count me in for a surprise or two.
Yeah. OK.
OK.
Cool.
Which way? This way?
This way, yeah.
Like the garden, the purpose of the herbarium collection is to assist in the study and particularly the correct identification of plant species.
Yeah, we'll have a look at this one.
Oh, OK, that's a rosemary. What's the surprise here?
Well, the surprising thing here in this case is the name of it. So we know it as rosemary, it's a common herb. But what they've found is that when they've looked at the genetics, it's closely related to the sage, the salvia, which is a very big genus of plants. So it's about 15% of all the mint family. So this has been found now to be part of that same genus of plants.
So what's its new name?
Its new name is Salvia rosmarinus. I mean, it's the same plant to us. We all know rosemary, but the official name and designation and the relationships are changing, and that's something we try and keep up with and understand.
So the name change with rosemary, is it a one-off or are the changes more widespread?
No, there's definitely changes much more widespread. So the whole of flowering plants, or angiosperms, we're re-looking at a lot of the relationships, because a lot of traditional plant naming and classification is based on their flowers and their morphology, their leaf shape. We have situations where you have kind of convergent evolution, so plants have developed similar forms and traits depending on the environment they might be growing in. And so what we thought might have been closely related, we're actually now understanding different relationships.
It's great to see plant people diving deep and using this new technology to take our knowledge to the next level.
Yeah, and to an extent, genetics allows us to actually look back deep in time to the relationships between plants, because, you know, they've been evolving over millions of years on the Earth, and that's giving us new insight.
And the genetic identification of plants can also reveal their extraordinary deep history. I was having a look at this, and when I smelt it, it's got a really strong scent. What is this plant?
This is an interesting one. So this is actually a native licorice, Glycyrrhiza acanthocarpa. Mostly it grows around the Riverland in Victoria into South Australia. It's most closely related to the other licorice from northern China. So this is like really isolated in southern Australia. Not many people are aware that we actually have a native licorice. And That separation based on the genetics appears to have been about 2.8 million years ago. And it seems that the way that it got here, based on the fact that its fruit have quite spiky little things, is that it was probably carried here by birds that do the annual migration, have actually picked up some of these fruit and sort of carried it here millions of years ago, and it's become established and obviously adapted to the environment here.
Along with their ancestral pedigrees, the scientific study of traditional uses of plants is a focus for research by Professor John Wardell.
All right, this is our medicinal citrus section that actually has a lot more medicinal history and use than most people would probably realise.
Look at this. What exactly is this fruit?
Well, this is an orange, of course, but it's probably not the orange that most people would know. It's called a bitter orange, used in a lot of cultures traditionally for medicinal purposes. But this orange has been specifically bred for all those things we don't usually like in oranges and food. Bitterness, sourness, really good stuff.
Bitterness and sourness. Can I give it a taste?
You go for it.
Oh, that's something that I grew up with. You know, lemon and Greek go hand in hand. Oh, here goes. I'm keen. I love bitter. It's a really thin skin, isn't it?
Comes on quite thin, and that's because, you know, the sort of things that we usually think of in pith, which are those, you know, bitter compounds, the pectins, they're kind of hidden in the orange itself. But as you chew more and more on that pectin and that sort of fibrous compound, the chewier it will get, the more bitter it will get. Yeah, quite different, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's good?
It's tangy, it's bitter. It gives you that.
And it tastes good for you, right? So, you know, that bitterness, that sourness, you know, complements that sweetness.
Oh.
Yeah. And see,
I want more.
And what's really interesting about this is that bitter taste has a lot of really interesting compounds that support digestion. And traditionally, that's what bitterness is used for.
Growing up Greek, bitter was a big part of it. Lemon was involved in so many foods, but also bitter greens, horta, such a staple at every meal. And it got you used to that it wasn't all about sweet and salty.
Yeah, and when you look at modern food, we bred all that out and try to make things sweeter and juicier and get rid of all that problematic texture and, you know, bitterness. But when you actually look at where these things come from, every citrus, you know, apart from the first four, pomelo, true mandarin, kumquat and citron, have all been developed. They're all human-made. So these oranges have been developed over hundreds and thousands of years to be as bitter and as sour as possible, because that's where the interesting medicinal use is. And that's what traditional medicine did, and that's why we here at this university are trying to work from plant to patient to find out more about what we can learn from traditional knowledge and actually start validating the science. Not everything will work, but, you know, we can actually learn a lot from the ways that traditional knowledge owners actually used these kind of foods and medicinal plants. And, you know, we're using that to actually start the process of finding what does work and what doesn't work.
There may be huge opportunities for health science in the study of traditional medicine.
This is our bush food and bush medicine garden.
And John and his colleagues are keen to see the honours shared. What do you see looking forward when it comes to the important role of plants and our plant-driven future, really?
Yeah, look, I think, you know, we're really passionate about what potential can come from plant medicines, but we're also really passionate that the traditions from which those plants come are also properly respected. And here at our university, we're really lucky to have an incredible Pakana woman leading Australia's first Indigenous-led First Nations medicines program, Dr. Alana Gall. Dr. Gall is actually in Geneva working with the World Intellectual Property Organisation, developing protections and frameworks to make sure that, you know, knowledge owners are actually not excluded from any benefits that might come from plant medicines, and that, you know, any company that might want to actually work with them actually, you know, really engage with those communities in benefit sharing and recognition.
As gardeners, we all know that plants are powerful. They're the source of so much good health in our lives and in our gardens, and they're the foundation of many of our medicines as well. But as traditional and new uses are researched and identified, it's critical that the plants, and more so the knowledge itself is respected.